on another Tuesday, which means another top 10 video. This time, going through the list of different classes in 5e. We started with Barbarian. I said we were going to go in alphabetical order. That means Bard is next. So if you want to see what items I think are best for a Bard, stay tuned. So same as last time, in case you missed it on the last video, we will not be doing any consumable items like potions or scrolls or things of that nature. We'll also try not to do any legendary items of any kind, because usually those are exceptionally powerful and they'd fit for anybody. Same thing with artifacts, sentient weapons, and so on. We're also going to be avoiding any of the tomes, the books that increase a stat by +2, usually raising the limit. Any item basically that will increase a stat above and beyond to 20 or beyond, because I believe there are certain Ion Stones that will do that, as well as the different tomes and manuals. So those are out. Base rules established. Let's jump in for number 10. Number 10. So number 10 is the Cloak of Many fashions. This is probably one of the only times you'll see something like a common magic item come up, but I feel like bards more often than not are typically a little more on the stylish side than a lot of other classes. That's not to say that other classes can't be stylish and have, a nice, aesthetic to them, but I feel like bards as a general rule are ones who are more often than not, sometimes a little bit flashy, sometimes not, but could take fashion seriously and also may find themselves in the need for a quick change of clothes. So what does the Cloak of Many fashions do? Is a common magic item. While wearing this cloak, you can use a bonus action to change the style, color, and apparent quality of the garment. The cloak weight does not change. Regardless of its appearance, the cloak can't be anything but a cloak. Although it can duplicate the effects of other magical cloaks, it doesn't, it can duplicate the appearance of other magical cloaks. It does not gain their magical properties. So again, it's something you could use this in a variety of means. This is also something you could probably be good on a rogue, but you can change your cloak to match the moment, to match the disguise that you're in, to match, to downplay how if you need to try to lose yourself into a crowd, you could downplay it into a ratty cloak. You could make it look like it's some sort of high-end magical cloak, perhaps to lure someone in, or something like that. Or again, just because, it's Wednesday and you want to have a blue cloak, you now have a blue cloak. Number 9. So for number 9, I actually really struggled putting this one on the list. It's again another one that could be considered good for any class, but its focus is better for an arcane caster. So this is the Blast Scepter. This is an attunement, very rare item. It's found in Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and the reason that I was hesitant to include it is I think there's technically only one. Again, that's neither here nor there. Any DM can put it in any game if they so choose, but I believe this is Hallister's specific kind of scepter, but I could be wrong. What do you get with a Blast Scepter? So one, it can be used as an arcane focus, so there's a benefit there for a bard. Whoever is attuned to, see it says to the Blast Scepter, which is why I was a little iffy on it, gains resistance to fire and lightning damage, which is a nice benefit regardless, but the reason that I kind of picked it for a bard is and can, as an action, use it to cast the Thunder Wave spell at 4th level with a DC 16 without expending a spell slot. Again, not to say that every bard's going to be focused on doing damage. Some may be focused purely on healing. Some may be focused on battlefield control. But there's not a ton of super, at least early on, outright damaging spells you can get as a bard. Two of the most common ones are Thunder Wave and Shatter. This, giving you a means to cast Thunder Wave for free indefinitely. Granted, the DC will likely be soon outclassed by your own spell save DC with a DC of 16. You can cast Thunder Wave, and again, it's at 4th level for free. That's pretty powerful, and then on top of that, you get resistance to fire and lightning damage as a bonus, and it also works as an arcane focus. It is a very rare magic item, so that's part of it, and again, I think technically there's only one, but there's no reason your DM couldn't add it into your game. Number 8. Number 8 is Gloves of Thievery. As a bard, you're going to get a lot of benefit from things like Jack of all trades. You're going to also have access to expertise, so anything you can do to boost your skills above and beyond is only going to make you that much better at things outright, or if you're already something you're an expert in, it's going to make you infinitely better. So Gloves of Thievery are an uncommon magic item. One of the key things is that they are non-attunement, and what's very cool is when you put them on, they become invisible, so people wouldn't know that you're actually wearing them. And what do they grant you? A +5 to dexterity sleight of hand checks, or dexterity checks made to pick locks. So as a bard, you could choose sleight of hand as a skill that you are proficient with. You could get it from a background or a race. And you could choose to be an expert in sleight of hand checks, therefore getting double proficiency bonus. But even if you're not proficient or even having expertise in it, you still get half your proficiency bonus for part of Jack of all trades, and this just gives you a flat out +5 on top of that. So this could make you as sleight of handy as the rogue. And again, dexterity checks made to pick locks. So a lock picking check, say something like a thieves tools check, is something that is an ability check. So this one specifically with dexterity, now you have a +5 plus whatever dexterity you have. You could perhaps be proficient in thieves tools, possibly through a background or multi-class. But even if you're not, you could use a pair of thieves tools or try to pick a lock without the proficiency. You're still going to get half proficiency again from Jack of all trades, +5 from this item, plus your dexterity. Not saying you're going to be better than the rogue at lockpicking, but you could be a good second fiddle if need be, or if the rogue's unavailable, or if your party just doesn't even have a rogue, you could fill the role of lockpicker. Number 7. Number 7 is Glamoured Studded Leather Armor. So the reason I went with this specifically is because all bards get proficiency with light armor. Yes, if you are certain bards, you can get proficiency with medium armor, and that opens up a whole new slot of medium armor options for you. But base bards have studded leather proficiency in their light armor. So what is this? One rare non-attunement magic item. So it is basic on the base level. It is +1 studded leather armor. So that's going to give you 13 plus your dexterity modifier for your AC, which makes it on par with mage hand, on par with mage armor, which removes that as a need for you to possibly take that as a magical secret. Not that you probably would, but it removes it. And again, similar to my Cloak of Many Fashions, as a bonus action, you can speak the armor's command word and cause the armor to assume the appearance of a normal set of clothing or some other kind of armor. You decide what it looks like, including color, style, and accessories, but the armor maintains its normal bulk and weight. The illusory appearance lasts until you use this property again or remove the armor. Made from tough but flexible leather, studded level, that's just the normal studded leather stuff. So if you had the Cloak of Many Fashions and Glamoured Studded Leather Armor, you could change the appearance of your armor at will, basically whether it makes it look like normal clothing, a different set of armor, or what the actual appearance of it is, and you could change the cloak, and this is still a functional magical +1 studded leather armor with a couple extra perks. I think it works really well for a bard. Again, it could work for any character with light armor, but I think it shines on a bard. Number 6. Number 6 is either the Wanda Fireballs or the Wanda Lightning Bolts. They're both rare, they both require attune by spellcaster, and again, as a bard, not saying you're going to need to focus heavily on damage, because you may not have to based on your party makeup, but if you get a chance to take magical secrets, and you may have seen one of the other party's casters slinging with lightning bolts or fireballs, and you may kind of be wishing to have that. Those are very powerful 3rd level spells. They do a significant amount of damage, and you'd have to wait to get to like 5th level to get something, 5th level spells to get something like Synaptic Static to be on par as far as damage goes, but that's a 5th level spell. Yes, it comes with a debuff, but it's a higher investment. So rather than spending a magical secrets on gaining, fireball or lightning bolt, why not go for one of these wands? They have 7 charges. You can use an action to expend one of the charges from it to cast either fireball or lightning bolt. They both have a DC of 15. For 1 charge, you can cast it at 3rd level. You can increase the spell slot level by 1 for each additional charge you expend. Regains 1d6 plus 1 charges daily at dawn, and if you expend the last charge, roll a d20 on a 1. It crumbles to dust, crumbles into ashes, and it's destroyed, or whatever the case may be. It's gone. It doesn't really make a lot of sense in my mind to upcast it and use, say, 6 charges to cast, what would that be? Let's see, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th level. I don't really think it makes sense to spend 6 charges to cast an 8th level fireball, which would do, again, was that 14d6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13d6 fire damage. If you cast as an 8th level spell, or you could cast 6 8d6 fireballs instead at the 3rd level. Again, the DC is 15. That's pretty decent overall. Again, your spell save DC may outclass that, so there may be that benefit to, say, taking it for a magical secret. But this is a wand. It's potentially 6 spells, 6 high-power damaging spells that you don't need to expend from your own spell slots, and it's just something good to have. And again, it's attunement by a caster, so this is something you could swap around with people in your party. But as part of a jack of all trades thing, as being a bard, you should still be able to do some damage in some way. And again, if you're not able to acquire the Blast Scepter or a Blast Scepter, which is letting you sling 4th level thunder waves constantly, this is a more reasonable alternative. And I feel like these are things that the DM may put out in places that you could just pick up. Number 5. Number 5 is the Stone of Good Luck, or the Luckstone. Kind of goes by either name, which is weird that it includes both in the name of the item. Uncommon magic item, requires attunement. While this polished agate is on your person, you gain a +1 bonus to ability checks and saving throws. So the +1 bonus to saving throws is nice, but the real reason we want this is the +1 bonus to ability checks. Again, as a bard, you are a jack of all trades, so you will get half of your proficiency bonus to any spells that you are not proficient with. Sorry, any skills that you are not proficient with. But this will then add a +1 to all of those. So let's say you're at the point where you have a proficiency bonus of +4. Any ability or any skill that you are not proficient with, you have a 2 in it, potentially, plus a bonus from your skills, your ability score modifier. This gets you a +1. I mean, this also gets you a +1 to all ability checks that you are proficient with. This will give you a +1 to your initiative rolls. It'll give you a +1 to any tool checks you make. This will also help if you do decide to take something like Counterspell. This will give you a bonus to your Counterspell as well, because that's an ability check. And again, you'd be getting a bonus from equal to half your proficiency bonus with something like a Counterspell as well. So really, I mean, again, another item that is exceptionally useful for any class. I think the Luckstone really shines on something like the Bard or the Rogue, something that's a very skill-based class that can do things like get expertise. So you could potentially have expertise in a skill, doubling your proficiency bonus, plus your ability score modifier, and now you've tacked on 1 more to it as well. Again, things that can boost your proficiency bonus, things that can boost just a flat bonus to a skill, really shine on a bard, because you're going to get that thing like Jack of all trades that's going to help meter out the skills that you might not be so proficient in. Again, I say this all the time, if there's not an intelligence-based caster in the group, chances are no one's focused heavily on intelligence, so you're not going to have a lot of high arcana checks unless you're proficient. But even if you're not, Jack of all trades plus something like Luckstone can kind of even that out. Number 4. Number 4 is the Staff of Healing. Again, as I stated earlier on, bards don't have to be healers. They can be, and they can actually be quite effective. But the Staff of Healing is a rare magic item that requires attunement by a bard, cleric, or druid. So you are one of the classes called out in this, so clearly there was some thought put into it. But what does it do? It has 10 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to expend 1 or more charges to cast one of the following spells from it, using your spell save DC and your spellcasting ability modifier. Cure Wounds for 1 charge per spell up to 4th level, so you can use 4 charges to cast a 4th level Cure Wounds. 2 charges for Lesser Restoration, or 5 charges for Mass Cure Wounds. The staff regenerates 1d6 plus 4 daily expended charges daily at dawn. On the last charge, roll a d20. On a 1, its staff vanishes in a flash of light, lost forever. So again, now you don't have to do something, if you happen to come across one of these, you don't have to do something like use some of your limited spell known options to learn Cure Wounds, Lesser Restoration, or Mass Cure Wounds. You can get them from this item. Save yourself a spell slot or a spell known slot. Plus, with this, you could cast 4 first level Cure Wounds and a Mass Cure Wounds. And again, there's not a lot of scenarios where a free Mass Cure Wounds isn't going to be useful. And this is, again, a way for you to do that without having to expend one of your own spell slots, so you can still save them for whatever else you want to use it for. Number 3. Number 3 is the Ring of Spell Storing. I feel like a broken record saying this is useful for anyone. Specifically, I'd say it's very useful for casters, but it can be useful to non-casters as well. This is a rare item that requires attunement. You can cast rings into it, holding them until the attuner attuned where it uses them. Store a total of 5 levels worth of spells at a time. When it's found, it contains 1d6 minus 1 level of spells chosen by the GM. See that says GM on D&D Beyond and in the book and not DM? Any creature can cast a spell of 1st through 5th level into the ring by touching the ring as the spell is cast. The spell has no effect other than being stored in the ring. If the ring can't hold the spell, it's expended without effect. The level of the slot used to cast the spell determines how much space is used. While wearing this ring, you can cast any spell stored in it. The spell uses the slot level, spell save DC, spell attack bonus, and spellcasting ability of the original caster, but is otherwise treated as a spell as if you can cast it. The spell cast from the ring is no longer stored in it, freeing up the space. So I don't think I really need to discuss how useful this can be. Right, you could do something like cast your own spells into it. You could cast a big 5th level spell, so you could pull out some other big whammy spell if you need it. You could put in, up to 5 levels worth of spells. You could throw in a Dispel Magic or a counter spell, so you have an extra one. You could throw in 5 first level spells. It could be something like a Healing Word or a Cure Wounds. Throw 5 of them in there, or 5 Thunder Waves if you want to do damage or something like that. So you get a lot of extra oomph out of your spells, but it also shines in that other characters can cast spells into it for you to get spells that technically aren't on your list. So, I can't think of anything really off the top of my head. Well, I guess I can. The wizard or the sorcerer could cast Shield and put 5 charges of Shield into your ring. That would give you the ability to use the Shield spell, 5 times. And then that could be a life or death scenario. Again, you can think of lots of different options. The cleric could cast Spirit Guardians into it. The druid could cast Ice Knife into it. I don't know. You get the point. There's a lot of different options for it. It's great for any spellcaster, which is why it's on this list. Number 2. Number 2 is the Staff of Charming. A lot of people are going to take you as a bard and assume you're going to be someone who can charm and mind control and that kind of thing, or just expect you to be charming in general because of your charisma. So why don't we make it easier on you by giving you something like the Staff of Charming? It requires attunement by a rare item, requires attunement by either a bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, warlock, or wizard. While holding it, you can expend 1 of its 10 charges to cast Charm Person, Command, or Comprehend languages using your spell save DC, which is important. It can also be used as a magic quarterstaff, so it gives you an option to fight with it if you want. If you're holding the staff and fail a saving throw against an enchantment spell that targets only you, you can turn the failed save into a successful one. You can't use this property of the staff until the next dawn. If you succeed on a save against an enchantment spell that targets only you, with or without the staff's intervention, you can use your reaction to expend 1 charge from the staff to turn the spell back on its caster, which is fantastic. The staff regains 1d8 plus 2 expended charges daily at dawn. If you expend the last charge, roll a d20. On a 1, the staff becomes a non-magical quarterstaff. So this is going to give you Command, which is not typically a bard spell. Charm Person, which is something you'll likely end up taking, or you would have taken, but you could potentially cast it 9 times for free. And Comprehend Languages is an exceptionally useful spell, but it can be cast as a ritual, so someone like a wizard may be better off taking it because they can cast it from their spell book without knowing it. But there's never a scenario where a free Comprehend Languages isn't useful. And again, this is going to give you the opportunity to turn spells around on people. Plus, it's a magic weapon. It serves a lot of different purposes, and I think it just fits for a bard. Number 1. And I'm sure, shocking no one, my number 1 item on my magic item list for bards is Instruments of the Bard. There are a variety of these going from everywhere from uncommon up to legendary. We're not going to do the legendary one because, again, we said we weren't going to do legendary items. So what are they? They're a varied magic item rarity, again, from uncommon all the way up to legendary. They require attunement by only a bard. They're all tied to legendary bardic colleges. Specifically, I think these are Faerunian colleges. Each one gives you certain spells and then also specific spells to the item. Again, any spellcaster is going to want to get extra spell casting of unique spells they may not normally know for free. This lets you do that. Any creature that attempts to play it that isn't a bard must make a saving throw or take damage. You can use an action to play the instrument and cast one of its spells. Once the instrument has been used to cast a spell, it can't be used to cast the same spell again until the next dawn. It uses your spellcasting ability modifier and your spell save DC, which is very cool. But one of the interesting things about it is you can play the instrument while casting a spell that causes any of its targets to be charmed on a failed saving throw, thereby imposing disadvantage on the save. So let's read that again. You can play the instrument while casting a spell that causes any of its targets to be charmed on a failed saving throw, thereby imposing disadvantage on the save. This effect applies only if the spell has a somatic or material component, and then that's it. Then we'll go through the instruments. So it specifically states that it's any spell that causes its target to be charmed as per the condition. There's not a ton of spells that do that. And I'm not actually sure how many of them actually have that. Well, look. So all of the instruments get fly, invisibility, levitate, and protection from evil and good. Again, you can cast each one spell individually, and then it can't be cast until the next day. Until the next day. So first up is the Anstruth Harp. This is the very rare item. It gives you Control Weather, Cure Wounds at 5th level, and Wall of Thorns. Great spells. Again, Cure Wounds on the Bard spell. I'm not sure if Control Weather is off the top of my head, but none of those cause you to be charmed. Canis Mandolin, rare. Cure Wounds at 3rd level, Dispel Magic, and Protection from Energy, Lightning only. I really like this one. A freebie Detect Magic is good. I guess I should say, now that I'm thinking about it, you can cast any spell that requires someone to be charmed, and then if they have, on a failed saving throw, imposing disadvantage on the save. That doesn't have to be a spell from the instrument. That could be one of your bard spells, like something like a Charm Person. My mistake. The Cly Lyre is rare. This gives you Stone Shape, Wall of Fire, and Wind Wall. Again, Wall of Fire is a nice damaging spell. Das Loot, which is, I feel, my favorite to say, is uncommon. I don't think it's the best one, though. Animal Friendship, Protection from Energy, Fire only, and Protection from Poison. There's the Fashlukan, I don't know how you say it. Bandor, uncommon. Entangle, Fairy Fire, Shillelagh, and Speak with Animals. What's interesting is it gives you Shillelagh, which is a cantrip, which I think is the only one on the list that gives you a cantrip. I really like that one. It's sort of a naturey one, but a free Fairy Fire is always good. There's the I can't pronounce these names. Cittern, which is uncommon, which gives you Bark Skin, Cure Wounds, and Fog Cloud. That's not too bad. Bark Skin's useful. Cure Wounds, again, always good. Fog Cloud. And you know what the hell? I'll do the Harp because we're here. The Olam Harp, Legendary, Confusion, Control Weather, and Firestorm, right? Firestorm and Confusion, great Control Weather also good. I think, again, reminder that you get those specific spells on top of Fly, Invisibility, Levitate, and Protection from Evil and Good. I think my two favorites on this list are probably the Mandolin, Cure Wounds, Dispel Magic, and Protection from Energy Lightning, and then the Bandor, Entangle, Fairy Fire, Shillelagh, Speak with Animals. Although I guess Wall of Thorns could be useful. Again, I'm sure I'm not shocking anybody putting this on the list. They're the specific Bard item, and they're great. They're giving you a bunch of extra options for being a Bard. As I stated in the last video, unfortunately, a bunch of these are attunement, so you're not going to be able to get all of them. But if you're able to obtain any of these 10, I think your Bard's going to be happy, and you'll be happier as that Bard. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting these top 10 videos. It seems like you guys really seem to come out and enjoy watching these, commenting on them. I'd love to hear your top 10 list for Bards in the comments down below, so please feel free to leave those, or if you think there's a specific item that I left off that you think is worthy, leave that down as well. Let me know what you think about it. I got a comment on one of my last videos that they said I needed more light in my setup, so I just turned on my overhead lights. I feel I look a little more washed out, but if you guys like this look, I will leave the lights on. That's fine too. I was working on getting a backlighting setup for the previous setup. I just haven't gotten around to it. If you like this video and you're new to the channel, you can feel free to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. I guess they say ring the notification bell if you want to stay up to date on when we put out new videos. I don't actually know how much that actually works, but everybody says it, so I figured I'd throw it out there too. I also stream every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on Twitch, and occasionally every other Sunday, all in the evening. So if you want to see me playing games live or building characters or things like that, be sure to come out and check out the Twitch channel. There's a link in the description for that as well. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next Tuesday. We're going to be doing video on top 10 cleric magic items.